This video will introduce you to the Microsoft Office project software that we will be using for this assignment. We just want you to be familiar with the software, as many companies use it for large projects, and it'll help you understand how the tasks flow together when we're doing our capstone course. This example we're doing is constructing a circuit board. Breaks it down into the different tasks. We've got 4 main deliverables: design and material, connect components, solder components, and final prep. I know these times aren't really accurate. Don't worry about the times we're not actually going to build the circuit board. We want to learn about the software. It says each square represents an hour. Well, about 3 hours to make a CAD drawing, assuming we're familiar with the product. 4 hours to get the parts from a stock room. I know it won't take 4 hours to heat up a solder pot or iron tips, but we're just going to go with that, especially since we're overlapping these tasks. We talked about overlapping tasks in the assignment. Could take 2 hours to clean the tips. Could take 2 hours to tin the leads. It just depends. It's quite a few hours of soldering. Could be a large circuit board. So again, don't get hung up on the hours of work for the circuit board. We're concentrating on the software. So your instruction sheet is going to walk you step by step through getting this Gantt chart started, and that's what I'm going to do in this video. So I'll just be referencing this as well as the this is just a Microsoft Word chart with squares. We're not going to do our Gantt chart in Microsoft Word. We're not going to do it in Excel. We're going to do it with the Microsoft Office project software. That software is available on the computers in the computer lab up front by the lobby. All the computers on the end by the printer have this software, so there's more than enough computers have the software. Yes, you'll have to do it on campus, but it's just this one activity. To get to the software, we just go to All Programs, open up Microsoft Office, and then just like we would open Word or one of the other ones, Project is the software. It does a lot of different things with a chart. So we've got the different tabs, the project settings, the format, how things look, and most of our work will be done in the Task tab. So we'll go ahead and look at our instruction sheet. It says the first thing is to go to the Project tab, change our working time to hours, and set the hours per day to 24. It says we're going to do that under Options. So we're going to go into the Project tab, and then Change Working Time is one of our icons here. Isn't much to do here. I mean, we could enter some things, but we want to change the settings, so we go into Options. So we're going to change our hours per day to 24, and then our duration to hours and our working hours. So some of this probably already is. The default start and end times, just going to leave them the way they are. I don't think it's going to affect anything since we're doing the 24 hours per day. We're just going to assume we're running a 3-shift operation. So we click OK. That changes our settings. Doesn't really see anything. Another setting says go to the Format tab and click Outline Numbers. This is going to do that 1.0, 1.1. It's going to take care of that for us. So we go to our Format tab, and up on the right, here's Outline Number. We're going to click that. We're going to leave Summary Tasks also checked, And now we'll go back to our Tasks tab, and our instruction sheet says leave the top line empty and begin the subtasks. For example, don't enter the 1.0 procure parts. Leave the first line blank and begin with CAD drawings. Now we're not going to have to enter these numbers. That's why we checked that outline numbers. It's going to take care of those for us. So if we look at our sample, we're going to leave the top line blank and go to CAD drawings is 3 hours and procure parts from stockroom is 4 hours. So we'll leave the top line blank. CAD drawing and bill of material. I'll go ahead and enter the second one. Procure parts. Now it's putting numbers in there, but don't worry about that for right now. Go to our instruction sheet. It says enter any date to get the first task started, and you may need to adjust the window to see it. So our CAD drawing was 3 hours, and we'll just click a start date. I'm going to click today's date because that seems to make things move a little smoother. And then I'm going to go, our procure parts was 4 hours, and I'm just going to hit enter. And you'll see the procure parts, it doesn't quite know what to do with that one. I'm going to zoom in so I can see this a little better. And when it zooms, it moves, so you have to mess around with it. Now, if I just grab it and move it, it'll go pretty much to where I want to go. Now, don't worry about these bars not being quite the same length. As you change your view, just the different views, sometimes it's not sure what to do with the bars, but here, these, 3 hours and 4 hours, they're close enough. And as we mentioned in our reading, these are windows of time. We don't, it's not, for our purposes, it's not exact minutes and seconds that things are going to take. It's a window of time. So, go to the instruction sheet. When you have the subtasks for a group, highlight them and then create the summary task, which is what I've been calling main deliverable. So I click on this, that's highlighted, it doesn't really do much more. I shift down arrow to highlight them both. Now I'm just going to go up to summary, and now I have my summary bar on top. It doesn't know what to call it, so I'm going to double click it, and this one is procure materials. And voila. The 2-2 is just that start time. Don't worry about it. When it goes into the next date, it'll probably note that. It really keeps track of a lot of stuff. So now, my second one here, I have my main deliverable, connect components, and then I have one subtask with subtasks, and then I have some other subtasks. We always start with the smallest or the lowest tasks and then combine them up into the above summary tasks as needed. It'll take care of those numbers for us. In other words, we're going to enter these three, summary task those into 2.1, summary the whole thing into 2.0. I know it sounded confusing, but just take your time. You can leave blank lines as much as you want. We can delete them later. So if you're worried about leaving enough blank lines, you can also insert blank lines. So, it's not a big deal if something doesn't come out exactly right. There's usually a way to fix it. I'm going to do these three. Preheat the pot, preheat the iron, and then clean the tips. 4 hours, 4 hours, and 2 hours. I'm going to skip 1, 2, 3. Preheat pot. That one was 3 hours. Don't worry about the numbers not being right. When we make them summary tasks, it will take care of that automatically. Preheat iron was, oh, these were both 4 hours. I'll make that one a 4. And I'll make this one a 4. And then I've got one more under them. Was clean iron tips. Is only 2 hours. Iron tips, 2 hours. So again, it doesn't know where to put these. We look at our chart. We can start preheating the pot while we're getting parts from the stock room. Exact amount of overlap isn't important. Remember, these are just windows of time, but we'll try and get it about an hour in. So I'll grab this one and I'll move it out to about here. It seemed to like that move. These two line up together. We can clean our tips while we're still preheating some other stuff. So we'll move that to about here. Now you'll notice it went really long. It didn't know what to do with the ending. So I had to play with it a little bit to get it to overlap. It doesn't like the 2 hours, it wants the 3 hours because it's the end of day. That's fine. Remember, these are just windows of time. These are just windows of time of opportunity to do our tasks. So this it doesn't need to be perfect. This isn't for budgeting of labor. This is just for the work to get done. Like I mentioned we don't want to get tied up on the process. We want to just learn a little bit about the software. And it's a little quirky, but we can still make it do what we want it to do. I've got my 211 to 213. I can sub those up into 2.1. Remember, the numbers aren't going to be right until I'm done with the whole group. So I'm going to highlight these. I'm going to give them a summary task. And here we have. Now it's calling it something else. Don't worry about that. So this summary task is called Prepare Work Area. Okay, so now, so here for our insert parts, we've got insert resistors, big parts, and clinch leads. Now, we're overlapping inserting the resistors, but while we're cleaning our tips and tinning our leads, we can't do any resistor inserting. So we want to split that up. We can do that a couple different ways. But we've got 7 hours for inserting the resistors, and then 4 hours and 4 hours for the big leads, for the big parts and clinching the leads. So the main thing with inserting the resistors is we can't insert any resistors while we're cleaning our tips. So resistors, big parts, and leads, we're going to leave 2 spaces. Insert resistors. Insert big parts. Pre-clinch leads. And I think it was, remember these are windows of time. I think we had 7 hours. Let me double check that. 7, 4, and 4. So put in 4 and before. Now remember, we can move these bars wherever we want them. Resistors when we're inserting our tips. So these are going to start after that. So these are fine. We're going to shorten these up to where they should be. Doesn't have to be exact. So we can pull this one down about here. Got some overlap on these two. Remember, this is going to get broken up. We'll actually be ending our resistors before we get to those. So we'll bring our resistors back to about here. Now remember, during this portion here, these we can't insert any resistors. Maybe move these just a little bit. Sometimes they don't like to get moved. Just modify as you can. And if the tasks can overlap, then overlapping is fine. So we've got our subtasks for that section. So now the 10 leads only takes up its own subtask, and that's where the gap for the resistors are. So I'll need to move that a little bit in a minute, but first I'm going to summary task these three. Then I'm going to enter my 10 leads, which was 2 hours. And I'll put this out here. Because that overlaps with my clean iron tips. I had forgotten to name it. So now I have these summarized. To insert parts, we have 10 leads. We have prepare work area. So now, prepare work area through pre-clinch leads is going to summary task into connect components. So I'm going to highlight this one. Summary task. I'm going to highlight all of these, give them a summary task. So now I have these summary and subtasks, but my numbers aren't doing what they want. So I can just indent and outdent. Indent task, outdent task. So I'm going to take the whole row here and outdent them. So now I have 2 new summary task, connect components. (2.1) prepare work area. 10 leads needs to be its own, so I'm going to highlight that one and I'm going to outdent that one. So 2.1 prepare work area, 2.2 10 leads, 2.1, 2.2. Insert parts needs to be 2.3, so I'm just going to outdent this whole, all of these, because they're one group. I'll outdent them, and there we have it. So I have an empty space here, a couple of them, that's okay. If you want, you can delete them. Just delete the empty space. It's not going to hurt anything. If you need a new space, it's going to put the task above, so if I want one between these two, I need to right-click and insert task on the bottom one, so now I have this new task, whatever I wanted to call it, And I'm just going to delete it. So this gives you a good start. I've got the double bar here. I'm not sure why. Not really worried about it. Remember, these bars are windows of time to get our tasks done. And I've got on the instruction sheet, I know people hate to hear this type of thing, all of these things. It says take your time. It says there's a difference between trying different things, which is fine, and just clicking things to see what happens, which is not fine. That might be okay on your phone. It's not in Microsoft Office Projects software. It's going to start doing things, and it says have some type of idea what will happen before clicking things. Don't just start clicking and hope it's going to do what you want it to do. The software does not read minds. If, when you first get started, everything gets all screwed up, you're not going to lose that much time to close it without saving and just start over. Or if you've already saved it, start a new one. It's faster to start over than to spend all day fixing something that only takes 3 minutes to enter. If you were to do this, close it out and start over, everything you did on that first one you're going to remember and you're going to learn from that. Even if you had to do it twice, don't consider it suffering and defeat. Consider it learning. Got some other tips on here. Here I have to split a task if you wanted to do that. We're here to learn, so it's not a really long assignment. So if it takes you an hour, that's not the end of the world. When we have a chart like this, it's very convenient to take a look at it to know what tasks need to be done. There's so many possibilities. The whole thing with a project is making use of your time. Don't worry about why some of these are highlighted. If you want to figure out how to just highlight the main ones, it's fine. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm just looking for functionality. I'm going to open these up and I'm going to change the view so that I can see them as I need to see them, move them around. I'm going to check that the things that need to overlap are going to overlap. And if the hours aren't exact, that's fine as long as the windows are functional to schedule our tasks. Thank you.